Dr. Lalita and the students. Yeah, luckily you come while training sessions because Bogor is the city, so it fits with the name of Bogor.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and of course, I would like to appreciate your enthusiasm in attending this valuable discussion. And yeah, welcome to this discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, Nadawi also come here, right?
Yeah.
Separate in the other. Yes. Okay. Okay. My name is Hanwong. Yeah, and we'll be moderating discussion for the next maybe 2 hours. And I don't know how to name this discussion because the first speaker put the title of what's the title? The title of presentation: Bridging Southeast Asia and Africa.
I'll explain later.
Okay, yeah, towards the new approach of South-South collaboration. Meanwhile, the second speaker will present technology, social change, and conflict in fishing community. Seems that the presenters have their own approach regarding the theory they apply. Just my opinion.
Make a bridge.
Yes, yes. So in purpose to make more neutral, maybe let's name it afternoon brainstorming discussion. All right. Of course, I would like to share my happiness, yeah, because today, yeah, we have 2 outstanding speakers. Yeah, and yeah, they already with us. Please welcome Dr. Lalita Hanwong. Do I spell your? Yes. Okay. Lalita. Kinseng. Welcome to Indonesia and also the students, yeah. And also hi, Pak Rilus. Yeah. All right. Our presentation until the next 2 hours, and you all speakers will have around 20 minutes maybe, yeah, for each. Yeah, it's okay. And then and then after the 2 speakers, yes, each for it. And then for after the 2 speakers, I'll let you to ask the questions or maybe giving some comments. And yeah, we will discuss about 40 minutes maybe, yeah, for answer and questions session. And for your information, our audience are from faculties. Yeah, there are some lecturers here, and also students. Where's the students? Most of them are students. Yeah. So quite a various background. Okay, I'm going to invite Dr. Lalita. Dr. Lalita completed her PhD in history at University of London. Yeah, currently she is lecturer in Kasetsart University. Dr. Lalita has a wide range of interests in humanities and social science, especially within Southeast Asia and Asia at large. Her interest in contemporary politics and social problem in Thailand and Burma has driven to pay attention to social movement in Burma and in her own home. Dr. Lalita, you have 20 minutes to present your work, your paper. So please.
Stand up here or... Okay, I'll stand up here. I know when I'm at my university, I'm not this formal. You know, I wear jeans, I wear my t-shirt, but because I'm my dean today, I have to be presentable. So I feel I don't feel very relaxed right now. But okay, that's okay. You guys look pretty relaxed, so I'll try my best to, you know. I'm not sure how much I can share things with you, but I'm just going to tell you some things from my experience. So we'll manage to improvise and bridge the gap between everything, right? Okay, so I'm here in Indonesia this time. Actually, it's my first time in Bogor. And I was in Jakarta long time ago, just passing by because I was flying from Bali. That was it. But I've never been to Jakarta or Bogor before. It's nice to meet you guys here. Actually, this university reminds me very much when we were coming in, I was reminded of Chiang Mai University, which is a very big and famous university in the northern part of Thailand. Chiang Mai is a bit like, I don't know, Jakarta in Indonesia. You can probably compare Chiang Mai with Jogja because of the culture, because people are maybe different from Bangkok or Jakarta, but these are beautiful cities. But yeah, this university is beautiful, lush green. I felt immediately relaxed when I came here. Okay, I don't know much about Indonesia. Well, actually I do, because I teach a bit of Southeast Asian history. I am actually the director of Southeast Asian Studies program at my university. And I had no choice but to know something about, Indonesian politics and political history. Don't ask me too much, okay? But the reason why we're here in Indonesia for this trip is because apart from our collaboration with IPB, we are going to Surabaya tomorrow to visit Universitas Erlangga, because one extremely important development is coming to UNAIR. They are establishing the very first Indian Ocean Studies Center in Indonesia, and in this maritime area of Southeast Asia. We at Kasetsart University, we've been having Africa-Asia program since 2021. So it's been almost 2 years now. So what have we done? Not very much yet, but we've been trying to support and encourage African studies in Thailand. And we are trying to support research and basically just get Thailand talking about Africa and trying to bridge the gap between these two regions, which we think that have no connections whatsoever, but in fact, we have loads of similarities. Okay, and you guys, Indonesians, should be proud. I'll tell you the first story just to do the ice breaking a little bit. Everybody knows Indomie, right? Everybody eats Indomie in Indonesia, right? It's like the national food. Oh, what's the national dish of Indonesia? Indomie, right? Nasi goreng, not very much, but everybody eats Indomie. Do you know that in Nigeria, the way they call instant noodle is actually Indomie? Okay. Oh, I want to have Indomie. That means I want to have instant noodle. So this is the house brand. This is the name that is strongly associated with the instant noodle culture of Asia. Okay. We do have the most famous brand of instant noodle in Thailand as well. But they don't go to Africa. They don't do anything in Africa. A bit silly, right? But Indomie was very quick, and they discovered Africa very early, and they started to go to Africa many years before. So as I said before, in Nigeria and in Ghana, in West Africa now, everybody eats Indomie. I don't recommend anyone eating Indomie every day because it's a bit salty, in my opinion. It's a bit fatty too, with lots of palm oil, right? But okay, that's the way it is, and people love having noodles from Southeast Asia. Maybe you've heard of one of the Thai products. I'm not sure if you have it here because I haven't been able to go to the supermarket yet. But we do have a soy milk brand called Vitamilk. It's okay. It's a soy milk, okay? And soy milk is something quite popular in West Africa, okay? And right now, this Vitamilk company, they export Vitamilk soy products to Ghana, to Nigeria, and it's become quite successful actually. You know, I don't want to use too much the word soft power, you know, but right now in Southeast Asia, the term soft power is everywhere. Or we want to promote commerce, we want to promote trade, we want West Africans or Africans at large to know something about our country. And people have been trying to do so much. Governments are trying to do some things. But for me, what the Global South has in common, it's all about food, right? I think that people here in the South, we eat a lot, right? And we love eating. My team and I, we just came back from a really popular Indonesian restaurant in Jakarta. They have I just checked now, they have 3,000 reviews on Google Maps, which is something not very common, even in Bangkok. And you know, Bangkok is crazy when it comes to food. Yeah, we had a really great time. And what I noticed straight away, in this place, I think that they are specialized in peanut sauce, which you call satay, right? Right? Okay. In Thailand, satay is very famous, but it's only famous mostly for skewers. But sorry, we eat a lot of pork. Yeah, so pork satay is one of the national dishes in Thailand. Delicious. The satay in general, it can be beef, it can be anything. But I've been around Southeast Asia, I've been around Africa a little bit, and I noticed that the culture, the gastronomic culture that involves peanut can be found everywhere in the South. And the flavor of satay sauce is everywhere from the west coast of Africa in Senegal to Sumatra, to Java, to everywhere in Indonesia. We had, I don't know what it's called, but it's a kind of salad with rice noodle, boiled vegetables, and satay sauce on top. With boiled egg, avocado. We also have that, and the way we call it Indian salad, right? Yeah. So maybe this idea of having peanut, making a sauce, delicious sauce out of it, comes from India. Who knows? Maybe after all, it's not Indonesian, maybe it's not Malaysian. Don't fight with Malaysians, huh? Because it's like we are arguing so much with the Cambodians now about some silly things. What do you argue with Malaysians most? Batik? Fabric? Tempe? Music? Yeah. But we are having this great dispute with Cambodians regarding, I don't know how to call it, frankly. It's a traditional boxing. Because when I say it's Muay Thai, Cambodians will say no, it's not Muay Thai, it's Kun Khmer, right? Kun is a boxing and Khmer is a Cambodian, right? And now we are having SEA Games in 1 month or in a few weeks, and they're still arguing. You know, Thailand is still arguing with Cambodia, or we're not going to send our athletes to compete in this Kun Khmer because Kun Khmer doesn't exist. Only Muay Thai exists in this world. Guys, I don't know. I've never been to Latin America so much. I've never been to Africa so much. But as far as I know, people in these 2 southern regions of the world, they don't argue about this so much. It's just us, you know, who try to claim ownership of some intangible heritage, of some dishes, who owns peanut sauce, who owns satay, Malaysia or Indonesia? But we do have satay sauce in Thailand as well. Maybe it's Thai. Who knows, right? Maybe satay sauce in Thailand is the best. Malaysians would say, oh, it's best in Malaysia. But what if they do have satay sauce in Burma, Myanmar as well? I tried it before in Myanmar once. So guys, relax. Satay sauce is everywhere, okay? And if I may say so, it doesn't really belong to Indonesia. It doesn't belong to Malaysia, but it belongs to everyone because everybody loves satay sauce. That's it. That's the idea of my presentation. I just wanted to say that, you know, when we think about Africa and Asia, I'm here in Indonesia this time because I was asked to talk about something that we do and what we are trying to promote right now at our faculty at Kasetsart University. We want to implement African studies as much as possible. We don't know so much about Africa, right? But what if I say your favorite satay sauce can also be found and loved by the Senegalese in West Africa? There is a dish. I was in Senegal at the end of last year, and I was shocked by their eating culture. There is a curry in Senegal that's called mafe. Not mafia, mafe. M-A-A-F-E, mafe. And mafe, you know, on the menu it says curry with peanut. So okay, I tried because I spent 2 weeks in Senegal, so I had to eat different things, you know. You can't just eat one thing every day. So I tried mafe one day, and I was blown away by the peanutty feeling of mafe, and it just reminded me simply of satay. We all think that Africa is so far away, especially West Africa, that has no connection with us whatsoever. This is your gateway to Africa, and Indomie has done that. I'm not sure how much the Indonesian government has recognized the importance of their soft power. You know, when we talk about Korean dramas, we think that Korean K-pop, entertainment industry, these are everything for Korea, and that's how we got to know South Korea, right? Apart from K-drama, K-pop, we don't know so much about Korean culture or Korean history. Maybe you do, but I don't. But I learned everything about South Korea from their K-dramas, Crash Course in Romance, which I just finished watching the latest episode this morning in my hotel room. I'm an addict. K-dramas, my thing. Okay, so maybe in Southeast Asia, we all love food. Maybe food can be our greatest weapon to win over the world, right? I'm obsessed about food as well, so I'll keep talking about food. It's not a good idea because it's the afternoon right now and you're probably hungry, but I can see that you have some snacks with you, so it wouldn't be so much of a problem for me. I'm hungry myself, but no problem. We had a really big lunch. All right, speaking about Indonesia, next slide, please. You know, I don't want to say something like Indonesia is so great, Indonesia Raya, because, but I'm going to say it. You know, this country was the birthplace of something called Bandung spirit. I've never been to Bandung, sorry, but I'm talking about Bandung. It feels very bad to talk about Bandung with Indonesians, but that's okay. Maybe next time I come, I'll go to Bandung. Do you know that sometime when the Cold War started, these important guys from around the world, from Africa, from India, and from Southeast Asia, they all came to Bandung And then they all made this very important agreement of non-alignment agreement, okay? And they all said, look, we were all colonies. Well, some of them were still colonies, right? We're all colonies. Why don't we decide, why don't we design our destiny together without help or without, intervention from Western powers? Why can we not, give ourselves chance of having life together? So they co-founded this non-alignment movement, yeah. And Indonesia, Egypt, also on the guy on your left, Nehru from India, Jawaharlal Nehru from India. On the right, that's Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana. The guy in the middle was Nasser from Egypt, not Muhammad Salah, okay? And of course, the next guy, everybody knows, Sukarno from Indonesia. And the guy on the right looks a bit different, looks a bit dodgy, because, the four guys on the left, they all looked indigenous, they all looked Asian, right? Or Middle Eastern or something more marginalized. But if you look at the guy on the right, this is Joseph Broz Tito from Yugoslavia. But okay, guys, you're so young, right? I was born when Yugoslavia existed, but these guys were born when there was no Yugoslavia anymore. So young. All right, so hello. Tito was the leader of Yugoslavia. So where is Yugoslavia exactly? It's in the southeastern part of Europe. It's Serbia, Albania, North Macedonia, that kind of thing. All these countries formed Yugoslavia, okay? So Yugoslavia was the only country in that area that was not a part of the Soviet Union. And these statesmen, they came together to Bandung to form an alliance. Yeah, and they started to call their countries third world countries. Now, if you talk about third world countries now, it's not a very nice thing to hear, because third world countries can be poor countries, right? But at the time, third world countries were simply countries that were colonized or were being colonized at the time, but they didn't want to be colonized anymore, and they wanted to design their own destiny from then on. Yeah, and they came together. One day they went to Bandung, they wrote this agreement, they signed on it, and voila, it comes Bandung spirit. Yeah, of countries, different countries from the southern part of the world, also known as the global south. Okay, so that's what Indonesia has been known for Africans. Africans know Indonesia simply because of this Bandung conference. Nkrumah, by the way, was one of the most famous leaders in Africa, and because Ghana is a very big country, anything that comes from Ghana is sort of prestigious, okay? And it's a very political country, let's put it this way. And they've led the Africa Union for so many years. Now, the seat of Africa Union is in Ethiopia, in East Africa. But the co-founder who co-founded African Union was Nkrumah from Ghana, from West Africa. Okay, so in a way, his status at the time was a bit like Sukarno from Indonesia. Yeah, so this is something I just want you to realize that, hey, there's so much similarity, resemblance between this part of the world and that part of the world. We think that, we don't look the same, we're all different. But if you think like that, just think of satay sauce. Like I told you before. Next slide, please. how can we be more practical? How do we bring Southeast Asia closer to Africa, and to bring Africa closer to Southeast Asia? Okay. So I'm going to start talking about my university now. I feel like I'm a PR. I'm in the PR department, but actually these guys is 5 guys, your new friends here. They are going to be the ambassador of my university. So make friends with them. Okay, these are nice guys. They are going to be with you for 1 month. Oh, for 2 weeks. Sorry. For 2 weeks. If we have more money, it will be 1 month. For 2 weeks, that's enough. Maybe they'll come back. You know, maybe they fall in love with someone here. Just saying, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to give you a broad picture, which is a case study from Thailand. Okay, so our university was mainly an agricultural university. The first one, I'm not sure if it's the biggest one right now. So basically, we have 2 big agricultural universities in Thailand. One in Kasetsart, and the other one is in Maecho in Chiang Mai province. Okay. These 2 universities can be, I can say that they're quite conservative in so many levels, but okay, we're not going to talk about politics now. I'm very political. I keep talking about politics, but okay, because my dean is right there, I can gossip about the university a little bit. But when she comes, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. No more about politics of the university. But okay, anyways, Kasetsart University was established almost precisely 80 years ago. And I would say that it was established, just before Cold War began. So what we say is Cold War began with the Korea War in 1950, right? But my university was established sometime during the Second World War. All right. This is very important because at the time we had no university that was specialized in agriculture, livestock, fishery, whatsoever. And the supreme leader of Thailand at the time, he was a bit like Sukarno actually. He was I cannot say this to you. He was a bit authoritarian sometimes, okay? But at least he did something good for the country. He invented pad thai, by the way. Pad thai? Yeah, pad thai is a famous Thai dish. But if you ask these guys, do you eat pad thai in everyday life? No, we don't. It's just something mainly for foreigners. Yeah, and it's just a dish that represents Thailand now. These guys, they just eat KFC lah. Yeah, that's what happens in Thailand. Okay, so the university was established during the Second World War. And as time went on, because agriculture is considered an extremely important branch of development. If you want to develop a country, you also have to focus on agriculture. You have to feed people. You have to increase your agricultural productivity and so on, right? So Kasetsart University was another place that was, emphasized and targeted by the American government. We still have some houses at the back of our university where some American instructors and lecturers, professors, they came to our university and they pioneered in, raising chicken, raising, dairy cows and all that. Anyways, so the university is an agriculture-oriented university in Thailand. During the regime of this socialist populist prime minister, Pibun Songpram, okay? I whisper this to you. This man, the Prime Minister Pibun Songkram, right? He actually established the university, but we don't have his monument in our university. Right. The only 3 monuments that we have at the university are the first 3 lecturers. One taught students how to raise chicken. Another one was another instructor who taught students how to raise dairy cows. Another one was specialized in sweet corn, maybe. Yeah. We don't have this guy's monument in our university. It's a bit complicated. And I think that it involves contemporary politics of Thailand as well. Okay, my dean is still far away. I can. Really? We all. Sorry. Rumor says that this prime minister did not get on very well with the previous king. Now you know. Okay, these guys, they love to hear these things because it's not on history textbook. And nobody wants to tell them because it's like a taboo or, just a hearsay. But that's okay because I'm not an ordinary history teacher, so I tell them this story. Okay, to cut things short, I said that I wouldn't finish 20 minutes, but I don't know. Maybe I have only 5 minutes left.
You can finish it in 1 hour.
We still have to go back to Jakarta.
I can donate my time.
No, that's okay. So, as I said before, agriculture and development, these terms, they always come together, yeah? And they play such big roles during Cold War, especially as a part of the US anti-communist propaganda. See, a bit like Indonesia, right? So Thailand and the Philippines were the only 2 countries in Southeast Asia in the 50s onwards to support the US entirely. Indonesia was neutral. Okay, you might ask me, how can we be neutral when there was something crazy going on, anti-communist, whatever? Okay, neutralism didn't really exist. It doesn't exist in the world, okay? But because Indonesians, Burmese, and some other countries in Southeast Asia or Africa, they hated colonialism very much. So these leaders, they decided, just to come together and say, look, we want to denounce imperialism, and we don't want to be a part of Cold War whatsoever. We just want to be ourselves. We just want to help among our countries, and we don't want to be involved in the fight with the Soviet Union and the US and so on. But Thailand, because Thailand was never really a colony, I don't like saying this, but it wasn't a colony in the most official term. Okay, the country was definitely affected by colonialism, imperialism, no doubt about that, but it wasn't officially colonized. Let's put it this way, simple. And the Philippines was colonized by the Americans, right? So these 2 countries, they joined hands to become the greatest allies of the US in Southeast Asia. So what's the benefit of being allies of the US during the Cold War? Of course, you would get a lot of money. All kinds of money would be poured into your countries, especially for agriculture. Okay, I have so many things to say. Usually, if my class is not dynamic, I would keep it very short. But because this class looks okay, it looks dynamic. Yeah. So I still have a lot of stories to tell you because he already donated his time for me. So that's fine. Okay, back to development. How do I say? I didn't prepare. During the fight between the free world and communism, because farmers, peasants in the countryside, almost everyone remained poor, right? And the Thai government, the US government, they had an idea. They wanted to civilize, they wanted to get rid of poverty among peasants and farmers. If peasants have better lives, they would not go to communism, right? They would be worshipping the free world, democracy, the US, whatever. So that's how development became such a key word for the US strategy in Southeast Asia, especially in Thailand and the Philippines, right? Okay, fast forward to now. Now in Thailand, the word development is still very important, but it changes, shapes and sizes a little bit, because right now, we're not so poor anymore. I don't like saying that. We're still poor, but the way we portray it to the world is like, we're not that poor anymore. Oh, why? Because we have so many malls in Bangkok, because people can afford to eat KFC. It's fine. The country is not so poor anymore. But actually, if you go to the countryside, if you go to the village, you definitely would find poverty everywhere, right? But development right now, as I said before, has changed sizes and forms, and the idea of development, especially in the eyes of the Thai government, is that they want to go somewhere else and try to show the world that Thailand is developed, which is not true at all. So the only places that the Thai government can go and show them that we are superior are Africa and some Southeast Asian countries like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, or maybe Vietnam. I was in Vietnam last week. How do we compete with Vietnam? I have no idea, okay? People work so hard, natural resources are so plentiful, people, I don't know how to explain this, but people in Vietnam, they work really, really hard. Most young people have 2 jobs, They don't want to get rich, but they just want to have comfortable lives, and it's in their DNA. My other half, the family is a Christian Catholic from Vietnam. So I quite understand how Vietnam works, but it's a strange country, but okay, it's not the focus of my lecture today. Okay. Thailand has an institution that calls Tiger. Maybe you are familiar with JIGA, which is the Japanese version of Tiger, or Tiger is a Thai version of JIGA. Yeah, and what they do is they are a part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they give technical assistance, they give training, they give scholarships to people, mostly from Africa and CLMV countries, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, sometimes from Indonesia. But the focus of this institution is like, the Thai government just wants to show the world that, hey, we are good at agriculture, we're good at, increasing productivity and whatnot. So that's what they do. I've been working with them for a bit, and this is not the kind of mentality I'd like to show with you whatsoever, because as far as I know, it's all about, oh, we want to give them this, but we don't want to get anything from them, because how can they give us something because they don't have anything to offer? That's the kind of mentality. Why am I being so critical? I don't know. My dean would complain so much about me right now because I complain so much about my country. Everybody does now. But that's what happens. That's true. You know, we want to give, but we don't want to get. It's like the mentality is we don't know what we can get from Africa. But look at Indonesia. Indomie has become staple food of Nigeria and Ghana. Why can't you get anything from Africa? This is the richest places for natural resources in the world, you know. Africa has lots and lots of young labor. So when everywhere in Southeast Asia, everywhere in Asia, the society is growing older and older every year. But in Africa, people are still young and fresh and so strong. You know, there's so many chances, opportunities that are waiting for us in Africa and in some other parts of Asia too, right? So yeah, what I see, Tiger and the way the Thai authority perceives Africa is that the organization is quite clumsy when it comes to bureaucracy. Everybody knows that here, okay? Because I've heard a lot about bureaucracy in Indonesia too, which is very similar. And this is what I call the give and take mentality. We give them, but okay, because we don't want to get anything from them. We just want to give them just to show the world that we are givers, you know, that we are generous. We are Buddhists, so we are generous. Talking about Buddhism just makes me feel very hot and, you know, not very relaxed. But okay, next slide, please. And this is how I PR my university. I just want to show you briefly how we, Kasetsart University has been saying, we work so much with Africa. We've been working endlessly with our African partners, but at the end of the day, we have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MOUs or MOAs with African partners in Kenya, in Morocco, in South Africa, South Sudan, and Sudan. Why do we have to go to Sudan? Because there is a military mission in Sudan because they have been through some sort of a civil war, you see, and the Thai government had sent some sort of mission to help them. I don't know what exactly, but that's how it works. But again, that's the give and take mentality, which I don't encourage you guys in Indonesia to have. But because Indonesians and Thai are so similar in so many ways, maybe you guys have the give and take mentality as well. Next slide, please. Okay, this is I was very critical, but this is, at least this is something that is so good. We have the Thai embassy in Mozambique, okay? Now, you might ask me, where on earth is Mozambique? Mozambique is a very small country. Compared with Indonesia, every country is small. Mozambique is a small country in East Africa. It's very small, but it's strategically very important because Mozambique has two things. One, jewelry, diamonds, ruby, whatever. And two, they have a lot of fish. Yeah, like Indonesia. Do you know mackerels? Mackerel fish? Almost all mackerel fish in Thailand now come from Indonesia. And we say the bigger ones are all from Indonesia now. You know, if I tell you something about boats, the way fishery works in Thailand now, you would be amazed. You know, I find fish in Indonesia delicious because it's so fresh and it's caught locally here, you know, whereas mackerels in Thailand now are caught in Indonesia and exported to Thailand. Okay, let me tell you a bit about boats. Thai boats, fishery boats, they go as far as Argentina. Yeah, the World Cup winner. You may ask me, why do they have to go to Argentina? You know, Thailand has lots of sea. Thailand has lots of resources. That's the myth. You know, we all say, oh, Thailand has a very good soil. We have one of the best rice in the world, blah, blah, blah. We have plenty of fish. We have a saying in Thai that says, in the water, there's lots of fish. In the paddy fields, there's lots of rice. But it's not so true anymore because as the population grows, we have to import a lot of natural resources from abroad. And the way it works in terms of fishery boats, big ones, yeah, they go as far as Peru, Argentina, and then they get thousands of tons of fish at one time. And these fishermen, they spend months on the boat, yeah, and they have big fridge, big refrigerator on the boat, right? And they would catch everything, whatever they could find, and they would go back to Thailand after months in the sea. Okay, Indonesia, we all come to Indonesia for mackerels, okay, and probably shrimps and prawns. By the way, what's the difference between shrimps and prawns? I don't know. I tried to ask some native speakers, but they're confused too. I use prawns anyway. I don't know why. It just sounds nicer. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. You add a bit of tomatoes in the shrimp tom yum. But actually what we put in tom yum is prawn. They say prawn tom yum. Oh, okay, forget it. But okay, boats from Thailand do come to Indonesia to catch mackerel, lots of mackerels and some other kinds of seafood, okay? But Indonesia is the most obvious place for fishery industry in Thailand now. You might think Thailand is so far away from Indonesia, but that's not true. For this industry, Indonesia is so close and they come here all the time and they spend, like I said, months on boats and they would go back to Thailand with the boat full of fish, okay? Now, because of this, I just wanted to emphasize that natural resources are not with us forever. Maybe in the future, because of the tides, mackerels would run out from Indonesia and maybe you would have to catch, fish from Somalia or from Argentina too. Okay, Mozambique has a lot of fish, okay? And Thai boats do go to Mozambique to catch fish. And they would go back to Thailand and make so much profit out of this fish and these boats. Just to tell you something that's quite shocking, that a lot of fish and seafood products now come from East Africa. And that's why the latest Thai embassy in this world is Mozambique. And it was established, I guess, less than 10 years ago. Now we are thinking to have another embassy in Africa, maybe in Ethiopia, maybe in Ghana. They're torn between these two choices. I myself opt for Ghana because I like Nkrumah, but I just asked a guy from the Thai embassy this morning and they said it's more likely Ethiopia because Ethiopia is where the African Union office headquarters is. It's like Jakarta has a ASEAN secretariat, yeah, which Thai people are not very happy, but okay. No problem for me because I'm not patriotic. I'm not very nationalistic, but that's okay. Okay, this is my final page of my presentation. Okay, my conclusion and my bottom line are quite simple. I just wanted to tell you that Africa is actually closer to us than we think. Yeah, There are some issues that are so relevant to our everyday life, our daily routine. There is a book that was recently launched, and it was edited by one of the great, I believe, anthropologists in Thailand, whose name is Supang Chantawanit. And the title is African Migration to Thailand, Race, Mobility, and Integration. Now, you may ask me, Africans in Thailand, what did they do? What do they do? We have lots of African restaurants in Bangkok right now. And I haven't read the book, but I can guess that we do have a lot of African diaspora because of football. Yeah, Indonesia and Thailand crazy for football, right? Right. Okay, especially during the last, what's the tournament called? ACC, AFP? Yeah. Which Thailand won, unfortunately. And it wasn't even our best group of players. Sorry, I don't want to be speaking too much about football in Indonesia, because I know it's quite something. I'm quite strange in a way, because everybody in Thailand, they're obsessed about Premier League, English Premier League or La Liga from Spain. But I was growing up watching Thai football. Just because my father didn't know what to do, you know, he was a bureaucrat, he was a civil servant, and he didn't know what to do much during the weekend. So every weekend we had to watch football on TV or boxing. So I grew up with these violent sports that are still with me. It's still my obsession now. Oh, and snooker as well. Yeah, okay. Enough about myself. I enjoy watching Thai football very much, which is very strange for a female in Thailand to like Thai football, you know, because everybody loves Liverpool, Manchester United, now Arsenal, right? Or Manchester City. Yeah, but okay, because of football, we have lots of African migration into Thailand. We do have a football club at our university, and they play for Division 2 in Thai League 2. The best one is League 1, and number 2 is the second, obviously. Yeah, and we have a Kasetsart FC, which is number 12 or 13 on the table right now. Quite sad. Because I don't like the coach very much. The coach was actually one of the most famous strikers in Thailand's history. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but that's okay. He was a very tall player, lean, handsome, dark, tall, handsome, now very fat. So, okay, we do have some Africans actually in our university playing football. We have a stadium within our university, so you can go and watch Division 2, League 2 sometimes at our university. Maybe if you're crazy about football like me, you can visit our university and go to watch football. It's quite nice actually, the stadium. Okay. And another thing I'd like to share with you, which is my final point. I'm not sure if this is something that happens to maritime Southeast Asia too, but now in mainland Southeast Asia, like in Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, there is a phenomenon that is so crucial and annoying, which is we have scammers, online scammers everywhere. Yeah. Every day you would get phone calls from a call center saying, excuse me, you have a parcel that's waiting for you. This is DHL and we are calling you from DHL office. You have to pick up your mysterious parcel now, otherwise you wouldn't get it out, blah, blah, blah. you know, and people get scammed and lose so much money. So what happens is that this scammer ended up to be a huge network of scammers, you know, supported by some police officers actually. But what's so interesting is that this network of scammers is cross-border and everywhere in Southeast Asia, you know, and what happens now is that they even import Africans, mostly from Kenya and from Nigeria, to work in these buildings. And it's not just to scam Thai people or Cambodian people, but it's also to call Nigeria, to call England, to call Zimbabwe, to call South Africa to get money from them. This international network of scammers has become so big and it's so international, you know, it's everywhere in Southeast Asia now because our region, let's face it, it's not the most perfect region in the world, right? There are still some nooks and crannies where scammers and criminals can still hide themselves away from civilization. And these gangs of scammers, as this one shows, Nigerian Thais caught over romance scam. Have you ever heard or have you ever got some spam email saying something like, hello darling, I am blah 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 from England. I'm very rich, I'm a millionaire, I would like to marry you because I found you and I think that you would be my soulmate. Can you transfer some money to me? I just don't get it how people would transfer money to these scammers, you know. But that's what happens. And these guys, they get so much money out of it. That's why the gang, the movement has grown so big and so strong. And I don't know how this will end, but this cross-border scamming thing, it's become very big. Do you have it in Indonesia too?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And the same also.
Really? Wow. We're ASEAN, huh? We're ASEAN. Great to be ASEAN. Scammers everywhere in ASEAN. Yeah. So we have two things that bind ASEAN together: football and scammers. Yeah. Okay, guys, that wraps up my presentation. I'm not sure how much you got from me, but okay, I hope that you didn't fall asleep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Lalita. Guys, did you enjoy her presentation?
Sure.
Sure. All right. Okay, but you said that Indomie is the real traditional Indonesian or real Indonesian food. But I need to correct a little bit because actually the real Indonesian traditional food is Indomie with rice. All right. What should I say? That was a very interesting presentation. And I saw that the audience really enjoy your presentation, and maybe you can prepare the questions. Especially when we back to the title, it's about South and South collaboration. Maybe you can you need to explore deeply about that. And I've been trying, Lalita. I've been trying to explain that food is no longer as a country identity, because when we talk about food, it seems that we came into the same taste. It's quite different if we talk about natural resources, for example. There is a conflict, and when you explain about the Thai people that sail up until the Argentina that will connect with Pak Rilus presentation, right? It's about yeah. But so for the second speaker we have Professor Rilus. Let me tell you briefly about who is Pak Rilus, even though you guys know him very well, of course. But for our students, for Kasetsart, maybe you need to know a little bit about Pak Rilus. So, Pak Rilus, Prof. Rilus pursued his PhD on sociology, right? Yeah, sociology after in 2007. Yeah, after completed his magister in University of Guelph. Guelph, Canada, and currently he is a lecturer in our Departemen Communication and Community Development Sciences. And Prof. Rilus works on a wide range topic, yeah, especially in fisheries community. Yeah, the general is rural society. Yeah. So please, Pak Rilus.
Since I have already donated my time, so I think I try to keep like 10 or 15 minutes, and I stand up here because I'm shorter than hi everyone. Okay. So it is actually like, I don't know whether it's an incident or coincidence that you talk about fishery, and my presentation precisely about that. So we actually connect one another without any agreement behind the table, you know? Okay, the title. Start with the title, please. Dari awal banget. Yeah. So actually the title of my short presentation here is Technology, Social Change and Conflict in Fishing Community. Okay, next. Just very short introduction. As we know that Indonesia is known as the biggest archipelago nation in the world, because we have more than 17,000 islands, big and small, in Indonesia. And so therefore, it is not surprised that there are many fishers in Indonesia, and I think almost in every island we do have some people who work connected or related to the marine. To the marine. Yeah. So it is interesting to study changes in fishing technology and their consequences on social structure as well as social processes. Next, please. So you know, fishing technology in Indonesia evolved gradually from the very simple, so it's connected with your history. It's very, initially it was very simple, just using a kind of, you know, they just dig a hole in trees, yeah. They make it and then they just sail, and also using very simple fishing gears like nets and also fishing rod and also spears and so on. Okay, next. Then they changed gradually, as I mentioned, it evolved very slowly for some time, but later on become faster. So in this development, the fishers start using like outboard engine. I will show you later on how what is the outboard engine, and then after that they use a very big one, fishing vessel with big machine inside the boat, and then also they have a much modern fishing gears. So this modernization of fishing technologies systematically took place in around 1970s in Indonesia. One of the factors was the government, because at the time government of Indonesia promote a program so-called motorisasi in Indonesia. Motorization. Basically, it's you give the subsidy to fishing community to have a small boat with outboard engine. Okay, next. As we know, this I quote from Marx here, yeah, in changing their mode of production, men change all their social relation. The handmill gives you society with the feudal lord, and then the steam mill gives you society with the industrial capitalist. So we can see from Marx here, his thought is really take place in fishing community. When the fishers change their technology, actually they not only change the technology itself, but they actually change almost the whole social system, change the social structure. Vertically and horizontally it changes. Like for example, when they have this way, when they adopt as you mentioned, a big fishing vessel, it means that they have like the owner, and then there are many strata of the workers. Actually, it's not only the owner and the labor, but even within the labor themselves, they have different classes of labor actually. And of course, you have this big fishing vessel, and then middle, and then small, and then those who without fishing fishing vessel. So we have this kind of classes of fishers because of this introduction or adoption of the fishing technology. And then also, of course, horizontally, we have different kind of fishers according to the type of the fishing technology. So we have this. And they have different organizations. Each of these groups, based on the fishing technology, they actually have organization as well. So we have this differentiation of the social structure horizontally as well as vertically, and this all due to the development of fishing technology. So it has far-reaching consequences. The change of fishing technology. Next. This kind of fishing vessel is a small boat one, very small, but they have already engine. They put the engine outside, like here. And in some other boats, they just put outside here, beside, not at the back. But this is a kind of, we still have this kind in Indonesia, quite many. Next. This is a bit bigger, and as I mentioned, in this kind, they put the fishing, the machine just beside the body of the fishing vessel. It's operated like only by one person in this case, and they use like fishing nets and also fishing rod. Okay, next. This is much bigger, of course. You can see there are several fishing worker here, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 6. So it's already getting bigger, and this is different class actually, different strata compared to that the previous one. Next one. Of course, this is not the picture.
The boss, yeah.
Not even the boss of the fisher. This is just a visitor of the fisher. So this kind of fishing vessel is really big, and that's they can sail like they can sail up to, like you mentioned, not to Argentina, but still within Indonesia. Indonesia is quite from east to west. It's quite far away, so they can fish. Yeah, from Java to like Maluku, and also it takes months, like you mentioned. When they come back, they bring quite a lot of money actually, like millions, even for the worker. So this is the big one, and this is different class, of course, compared to the previous two types, middle and then also the small one. Okay, next. So it is not only creating a social class or a social strata, but this adoption of the technology also actually create further implication, namely social conflict, because in many cases, social conflict take place between a big fishers and also and the smaller one. So it is often time in Indonesia we have this conflict as well as the horizontal conflict we call it. So this is like vertical conflict, but also horizontal conflict between different kind of fishing gears or fishing technology. Oftentimes conflict happens. Okay, lanjut. So this is one example how conflict between big fishing vessel and the smallest one in East Kalimantan. This is about 100 and more than 100 gross tonnage of the fishing vessel, very big one. And because they encroach to the near shore fishing ground, so the local fishermen in that area, you know, they were defeated by this in competition, and they were very angry, and they just burned down this fishing vessel. So this is the implication of this, you know, polarization or differentiation due to the fishing technology. Next. And this one also example of the social movement related to technology. In this case, because the technology, the so-called cantrang, is very similar to troll. It is very similar to troll. They just modify a little bit. They call it cantrang. It was banned by the Indonesian government, but the fishers, they complained, they protest. So there was a huge, actually, a huge social movement conducted in 1918 sometime. And also, yeah, that's why they said that they will support the president if the president allow them to use this fishing technology. This is the story of this banner. Okay, next. Another big demonstration in Jakarta. I think this is in 1918. 2018, yeah.
Not during the First World War.
No. 2018, right? 2018. Sorry, 2018. They conduct a very huge social movement. This is from all Java shore, from the east to the west. They doing this demonstration here in Jakarta. They require to allow the use of cantrang. Still, cantrang is the issue technology. Okay, next. So, as a concluding remarks, fishing technology changes over time, both driven by the government policy as well as by fishers themselves in searching for a better production and income. Of course, they change the technology in order to get much more fish in the sea. Next. Changes in fishing technologies cause changes in social structure, both vertical, like social stratification or class, and also horizontal, creating social groups. Internally, social conflicts often happen between fishers of these different classes as well as groups. Technological-based social conflict also take place between fishers and non-fishers, especially the government. As I mentioned, the demonstration was actually they protest to the government policy. Okay, is there any? Oh, okay. So this is again picture of small-scale fishers here in Indonesia. Many boats, yeah, like flying something. Okay, next. So this is just closer, the type of the small fishing boat. Next. Still the same. This is very small one. I think I took this in somewhere in NPT. Next. Yeah, this is in Demak, Central Java. Same small fishing boat. Next. So this is the last one. Enjoy my short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Rilus. So there is a changing on technology, and it leads to conflict, either that's a horizontal conflict or vertical conflict. All right, let's move to asking and question and answer session. Please, if there is any questions or comments from the audience. My question is, Lalita, have you eaten Indonesian Indomie or Africa Indomie in London? Because there is two types of Indomie in London, right? Africa and from some of them from Indonesia, come from Indonesia.
Wow.
But Indomie from Indonesia is more, how do we call Chinese monosodium glutamate? Because Indomie from Africa is the taste is lighter than Indomie from. So you have to taste Indonesian Indomie before come back to Thailand.
I have it all the time in Thailand.
Oh, Indonesian Indomie. Okay, good.
My favorite.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Please, the audience. Boleh in Indonesia juga boleh. Boleh. Nanti ditransfer Pak, ditranslate Pak Rilus. Silakan. Oh iya, satu ada lagi. Dua. Siapa itu? Oh, ya. Lanjut. Tiga. Oke, silakan.
Hello, Miss Lalita.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to know something. Maybe this is not too important, but as you said, in Africa, people are so young, healthy, and strong. And then you actually decide the benefit of Bandung spirit. And then my question is, sorry, I'm checking. What's the benefit of Bandung spirit that affect your country, especially yourself? And to you, or Kasetsart University inspired by the spirit of Bandung until it could develop and compromise with Africa.
Wow. Very complicated. I don't even know, to be honest.
So we finish for the seconds.
And then
Siapa
I'll
tadi ya?
Thank you for the opportunity. First of all, I'm sorry because my English was so bad.
Very good.
I'm not even from Indonesia. I'm from another planet called Bekasi. Bekasi was another city in Indonesia. Okay. My question is, as we know, we have Southeast Asia Conference, Asia Africa Conference, a long time ago, and that we have Bandung spirit. It's very long time ago, but now Southeast country, mostly corporation with West country, America, English, or another country. Can we just we have resources, right, in Thailand, in Indonesia, or in Africa? Why we can just manage our self resources, not with another hand in Western? Can we just manage our resources? We manage ourselves. Maybe not just resources. Maybe the industry too, like football. Maybe I love football a lot, but I not local football. Can we manage it? If we can, how? But if we don't can, why? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I want to ask to Mr. Rilus. As you mentioned before,
the fisheries can make a social conflict, and what didn't happen. That's it. Thank you, Mr.
Very short.
Kind of Indonesian joke that Bekasi is not just near to Jakarta actually, but because when we try to reach that, we have to like pass the very long traffic congestion. So that's we call it Bekasi located as the other.
planet.
I understand this joke. It's the same. So we have 4 or 5 provinces around Bangkok, and sometimes we call them countries.
Yeah.
Because we have a province called Pathum Thani or Samut Prakan, which are next door to Bangkok. But yeah, sometimes when you want to get into Bangkok, the traffic is also very bad. So Southeast Asian way, traffic. Yes. But okay, I was quite shocked with Jakarta this morning in terms of traffic. Okay, the first question on Bandung spirit. Does it have any benefit to Thailand? My country, my university? Okay, I'll explain. I'm a bit harsh, I'm quite critical. And because I've been working with a lot of people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, lots of my friends are diplomats, and our group just went to the Thai embassy this morning, and we were raising this kind of question as well. And I think that Bandung was signed between non-aligned countries, countries that did not want to be a part of the Western imperialism anymore, countries that wanted to break free from colonialism. But Thailand actually had no problem with that. And actually, we wanted to be a part of colonialism as well. That's why we joined the American order, and we were the greatest ally of the Americans in Southeast Asia, if not the world. But okay, now I think people keep talking about Bandung spirit because they try to relate Bandung agreement with ASEAN, right? And because we have so many conflicts between Indonesia, Malaysia, we do have international conflicts between, let's say, the Philippines or even Brunei with China in terms of the dispute over South China Sea. Now Thailand, with Cambodia, or Thailand with Myanmar. So we try to bring people together. We try to bring our countries together and say, oh, look, we have this spirit of being mutually underdeveloped. So what can we do to bring out our natural resources and to bring out the spirits, and how can we develop and encourage more collaboration within ASEAN countries? That's what I heard some people at the ministry say. But apart from this, I don't know. Let me try to give you one case study, because I work on Burma, Myanmar, okay? And right now, because of the conflict in Myanmar after the coup d'etat in 2021, ASEAN is separated into 2 parts. 3 parts actually. The first group is countries that don't say anything about Myanmar at all. We have Vietnam, we have Laos, we have maybe Cambodia, we have a bit of Brunei. And number 2, we have people who complain about Myanmar all the time, people who want to make it right, people who want to, bring justice to military leaders and all that. We do have Indonesians, Malaysians, Singapore's, countries in this area, yeah? And then we have Thailand. And Thailand is probably the only country that has never ever said anything about Myanmar, has never given any particular comment on Myanmar. Okay, we talked about that this morning at the embassy in Jakarta. So my dean was asking the ambassador how he was thinking about Thailand diplomatic relations with Myanmar, and he said, oh, because Thailand has 2,000 kilometers border with Myanmar, so Indonesians would never understand how fragile, how sensitive the situation is and all that. I don't know. In my opinion, I think that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can play more elegantly in this case, if you know what I mean. But the way they play it, they like to say that nobody understands Thailand and everybody tries to make fun of Thailand by standing with Myanmar, by not condemning Myanmar enough. Myself as a lecturer, and I'm a columnist, I write on Myanmar every week, on Friday actually. I think that there are so many things that Thailand can do, and we can probably refer back to the Bandung spirit, with that our countries want to be free, our countries want to have more say in the affairs of our countries and so on. Okay, so to come back to your question in the first place, no, I don't think that, strictly speaking, Bandung spirit has anything to do with Thailand, my country. But in the long run, if the ministry, if the Thai government are smart enough, they can benefit so much from Bandung spirit. They can have more, diplomatic frameworks, they can have more concrete programs and projects out of this thing. And it's one great way to connect with our friends and comrades in Africa, like Ghana, Nigeria, and whatnot as well. And because I have this program, which will be promoted into a center, Africa, Asia, and Middle East Center, I'll play the game a little bit and I'll keep referring to Bandung, and one day I hope that I'll be back to Indonesia, to Bandung. Okay, number 2 question. Why do we have to rely on the West? Why we have so many natural resources? Why don't we do it alone? Technology is very expensive, okay? And most of the time, it's not easy to invest in technology, okay? If you have extremely expensive, valuable natural resources like oil, like Malaysia and Brunei do, then you can afford and you can invest so much money into your technology. That's why in Malaysia, they build their own cars. Not very good, but okay. They have their Proton company. They have one of the tallest buildings in the world, the Petronas and all that. That's why in Malaysia, some people are still poor, but the country performs quite well. But I was informed by the Thai ambassador this morning, actually, that among ASEAN countries right now, Indonesia dominates the scene. Your economic growth rate is what? 5%? Which is great. You should be proud of your country. Are you? Being proud of, if I say something in Thailand, are you proud of your country? People would look at me like, do you have a fever, or are you sick, or is that a question? Yeah, so that's how natural resources, especially in poorer countries in Africa, have always been exploited by companies in the West. Do you know that Nigeria also has a lot of oil, right? And because in Africa, one of the greatest problems is corruption, right? And what happens is that revenues from income that they get from oil, it's so corrupted, they give contracts to be British Petroleum, Shell, Royal Dutch Oil, which is Shell, Esso, Total, whatnot, Chevron from America. But money only goes to, very few people or few families in Africa. So that's how it works. And if we want to change that, we have to get rid of these regimes in Africa as well. You know, it's not just the West. The West just wants to be rich. These companies, at the end of the day, you know, they're capitalists. They don't want to go to, they're capitalists, so they want to be rich, they want to earn as much money as possible. So it's all coming back to money. And if we want to improve ourselves, if we want to improve our performance, the only way to do it, you said that there was this scheme of mechanization, yeah, motorization, something, you know. And this is another way that we can improve, another way that we can move forward with our own know-how. I think that when it comes to fishers' boats like this, I don't think that any company in the West would know how to do it properly, because it's not their way of life, and it's strictly Indonesian. You know, I don't think that Thai fishers would be competent knowing what fish is in which sea in Indonesia, you know, so only locals would understand their natural resources. But it's such a pity that now it's all about money, you know, greed. Yeah. Sorry, Jakarta man, I'm not, maybe I answered your question, maybe I didn't, but okay. This is the way I can share with you. And your question
is
oh, it's okay, I finished talking, so I survived.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope some more question for her. Yeah. So to answer the question for me, basically, what will be the consequences or impact of social conflict in this fishing among fishers, for example? One of the consequences of this conflict is the government become more aware of the situation, and then the government can take action to prevent like the encroachment of the big fishing vessel to encroach to near shore fishing ground, which is the place of the small scale fishing or fishers. So this is one way. Because of this conflict, like that I show you, this burning of the fishing vessel, then after that, no more big fishing vessel come from, in this case, from Java to East Kalimantan. So that's that's a kind of implication of the social conflict. Otherwise, if the local fisher didn't do that, maybe the big fishing vessels still come again. And it means that the local fisher cannot compete in that. This is, we call it the sea and its resources. We call it common pool resources. Everybody can get from it. Nobody has nobody can make a fence, yeah, to to locate the fish. They just swim freely from one place to another place. Nobody can stop the fish. Stop! This is my area. Don't go over there. Nobody can stop the fish like that. So it means if they compete, the big one with the small one, usually the small one will lose in that competition. So it needs to be governed. And government can make a policy, to arrange the zone where are the big fishing vessel and where are the smallest one, in order not to compete head to head one another. So that's kind of result from this conflict. I think it's a quite good result actually. Thank you.
Welcome to the Dean of Faculty of Social Science, Prof. and also Head of our department, Professor Ali. Lalita told us that you are discussing about the future. So. All right, but maybe because this already 4:45, maybe I would like to invite 2 questions, or maybe Bu Melanie and any other? Okay, okay. 3 last questions.
And for me, yeah. For me, we can talk later on.
We can talk.
Except you, if you have.
Okay, first Bu Melanie, and then okay, 2, and then the last one.
Okay, hello, my name is Rilus A. Thank you for the opportunity. My question is, you've been collaborated with maybe a lot of African. I think Asian and African have a different culture. So in the term of the work culture, is there any specific differences between Asian, especially Thailand, people with the African, and what kind of obstacle that Kasetsart have go through when you guys decided to collaboration with the Africans? Thank you.
All right.
Hello, my name is Satya Shakira, and thanks for the opportunity. Okay. In Indonesia, sorry, I'm not gonna asking about fish. But, in Indonesia, we have a lot of problems. Every country have a problem, and one of our problem is we were lack of young farmers, or let's say peasant. So I was curious, are in Thailand facing the same problem like us?
One more question from the student before I give to Ibu Melanie.
Yeah.
One more, maybe, please.
Yeah.
Any? Okay.
Okay, hello, and thank you for the opportunities. I want to ask to Ms. Lalita, what is actually the backstory or the background that makes you and your team interested to run up this Africa study in the university and the main purpose of it? Thank you.
Thank you. And last, Ibu Melanie, please.
Hi, my name is Melanie, and to the Thailand students here, I will be your guide to the botanical garden. I have this program, well, not program, it's just a small project of private project called a meaningful walk at the gardens. And with it means that you don't need to go through 18 hectares of the botanical garden, but you come to a small part of it, but you learn about the world essentially. And to those KPM students who want to join us on Friday morning, 8 a.m. I will wait you at the Pintu Gerbang Kebun Raya. You are quite welcome. Okay, Ms. Lalita, you mentioned about the NAM is outdated actually. The non-aligned movement is outdated. I mean, this is 1955. We weren't even born, and we were old already here. And interestingly, Thailand also joined much later with NAM, and as you mentioned that Thailand doesn't have that much relation to that in the sense of emotional attachment, because you are not being colonized like most of this NAM or all of the NAM countries when they started in the 1950s or 60s. So, and a lot of things has happened since then. The developing countries, the globalizations, and all these things. And if we want to join resources with African countries again, in terms of ASEAN countries, where can we find the similarities? I think this is important, but not finding it so further up that all these people already forget about all these leaders. The countries of rich resources, but heavily exploited. the technology-wise, we are all mediocre, but maybe now it's time for those type of technology and not going into high-tech technology because of many reasons. Population-wise, we have large proportion of youth and all that. I mean, the biggest investor now for Africa is China, not America or other European countries, but China. So it's Asia. So I think we have to find new platforms of similarities between Asia and Africa countries, and then this is something new. Maybe a stepping stone in this Bandung agreement, and the NAM is a stepping stone. But after that, there are many things that we need to find similarities, and then we move forward. Is that the idea? Thank you.
Okay, probably I'll answer you first because this is the most difficult one, clearly. So at the Faculty of Social Sciences, we have partners in Africa, African academic institutions, and we have been working with the International Institute for Asian Studies at Leiden University, IIAS. We are going to UNAIR in Surabaya to attend a workshop jointly organized by us and by UNAIR and IIAS. And we are striving to build a new platform. We didn't come up with a final name yet, but the name should be Southeast Asia Africa Collaborative something, yeah, or CF call something. We don't know the name yet, but it's exactly what you just said. Yeah, so we are trying to find common grounds when it comes to Southeast Asia and Africa. Maybe we will use Bandung spirit as a starting point. Maybe we won't, but it's exactly what you pointed out, that we have natural resources, we have this bitterness, these nightmares of imperialism, these similarities, and also when it comes to agriculture, tropical agriculture, yeah, know-how, knowledge, we do share lots of similarities. So there are, different themes that we was thinking. We had a workshop in Senegal before and in Morocco as well, and we came up with some themes, some common themes that can be knowledge, can be disseminated between Southeast Asia and Africa. It could be tropical agriculture. It could be, Ayurvedic medicine or traditional medicine. It could be, local. I don't know. There are so many things that we can think of, and we're all going to Surabaya, especially myself, to further plan this collaborative platform. This is what we are doing, and this is, taking shape. And I'm glad that you asked me this because I almost forgot about this collaborative platform. But yes, we are trying to do it, and we are trying to encourage collaboration between universities in Asia and Africa. Like I said before, the idea, the bottom line when it comes to governments in Southeast Asia, when we look at Africa, it's always Africans are inferior to us. They do have natural resources, but they don't know how to do anything with it. And now China is there. There is this resentment of China in the form of Chinafrique. It comes from the French thing. But what we can do now, and I think that African nations started to see this point, that we do have similarities between Southeast Asia, and there are different sets of knowledge that Africa can actually share with us. They have rice, they have tapioca, they have different things that we have. And actually, a lot of things that you guys have in Indonesia were brought from Africa by the Dutch, like palm trees, coffee, tobacco and all that. So maybe this knowledge exists in Africa, and maybe some farmers know how to grow coffee a bit better, or there are some tricks and technologies that you can share with them and all that. So yeah, that's what we want to do in the future. We're trying to find money. We try to collaborate with as many universities as possible right now. But because UNAIR is establishing this Indian Ocean Center, and it's the first thing in Indonesia, and that's why we have chosen them to be our partner. Yeah, I hope it will be all right. But I had a great time with this Indonesian team when we were in Leiden together in November. Kept talking about Korean dramas. Excellent. What's the question again?
The question was problems when you establish this cooperation with Africa.
Okay. We all have to admit that there are problems in Africa, right? And okay, from my point of view, we have 3 African delegates coming to Surabaya tomorrow. 2 of them are now in Bangkok. 1 of them is now in Singapore in transit. I've heard about this all the time, that it's very difficult for Africans from certain countries to get visas into Thailand. In Indonesia, not so much of a problem because you have e-visa or visa on arrival. But in Thailand, some nationalities, some African nationalities have to go to the Thai embassy in person. Okay, they can't even send their passport to the embassy. They have to be, for example, if you come from, let's say, Ghana is right next to Nigeria, but we don't have the embassy in Ghana, right? But if a Ghanaian wants to come to Thailand, they have to apply for a visa, and they have to go to Nigeria to apply for a visa, a Thai visa. I find this ridiculous. I find it so weird. But I've been talking to a lot of diplomats, and they keep saying that, because West Africans can be quite dodgy, because some scammers exist, and it's a bit dangerous to allow everyone to come into the, and it goes on. I think that the real problem is that we don't possess knowledge, or we don't know them, we don't know how to deal with them. And every time when we talk about Africans, it's always Africans are not that great, Africans are always inferior. I don't want to say this, but racism is still there. It's not just in Thailand, but in Southeast Asia in general. Because we are not familiar with Africans, we think that they are different. We tend to we tend to alienate them, right? But actually, if we get to know them, wow, these guys are crazy. These guys are awesome, and there are so many things, so many ways that we can interact with them. It's just a matter of, I guess, research and right collaborative platform and network that can forge the relationship between the 2 continents. Yeah. And the next question?
Youth farmer. Yeah.
I think in Thailand now we have a lot of problems with farmers, because young generations, they don't want to be farmers anymore, because it's getting more and more expensive to become a farmer, and you don't get as much profit like before. Now, again, I'm being too critical about this, but farmers now, I live in the countryside also. I have another house surrounded by farmers who grow sugarcane and tapioca, cassava and all that, And the problem of these farmers is that they don't know what to do. And they spend so much money on fertilizers and chemicals. Okay, but okay, if we say, oh, please, sir, don't use chemical, don't use fertilizer, it's not good for health. And they would look at you like, excuse me, how, you don't know us, you don't know how to grow cassava. How would that be possible for you to comment on how or how not to use fertilizers, right? Because for them, if you don't use fertilizers or pesticide and whatnot, it's not possible at all to grow anything. Yeah. So it's getting very expensive, and right now in Thailand, there's a problem of monopoly, you know, big corporates monopolizing fertilizers or even seeds. So it has become a really, really big problem for all of us. Yeah, I guess. I don't know so much about farmers. I have a farm, but I'm not doing it myself. So I don't really know, so much about this. But it's all about, at the end of the day, guys, we're not in the Mao Zedong's era. So it all comes back to money and how to make ends meet, how to make as much profit as possible. But it's not easy to be a farmer. I know this for sure. And you know, we have a bit of a relation here. I actually grew up by the sea, and my family members had boats.
I do have as well, but I was young.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they abandoned the boats because they realized that they couldn't compete with bigger companies or bigger boats or capitalists anymore. Yeah, so voila, that's the third world problem, you know, that we all have to come up with solution one way or another. Any more questions?
The last one, what was the last one?
What was the last one?
The backstory of you and your team brought up Africa and the main purpose of the program.
So we have this MOU with IIAS, Leiden University, for quite some time. And recently, they wanted to break away from traditional regional studies. Like, if you study Southeast Asian studies, it has to be Southeast Asian studies. You can't get out, you know? But there is a set of knowledge that has existed for so long in the West. Maybe you've read, maybe you've heard of Fernand Braudel. Fernand Braudel was a French philosopher and historian who wrote a really great book called The Mediterranean, right? And the way he sees things, Mediterranean is full of countries. Right, and these countries, they all had interaction from time immemorial. So you can't, when you think of the history of one nation, you don't just focus on that nation, but you can tell the story of that nation through the perspective of this sea. Okay, so how can you relate that to Southeast Asia? We do have Indian Ocean, right? And speaking about Indian Ocean, you can connect Indonesia with the entire East African coast with Indian Ocean, okay? That's why in Madagascar, you have different people, you have diaspora from Indians, from Northern India, Southern India. In South Africa, you even have really unique people called Cape Malays, and these were immigrants coming from Indonesia, maybe from Sumatra or Java, you know, some hundreds of years ago, and then they migrated to South Africa, and they worked in, you know, fields in whatnot that the British had created for South Africa. So you can see that this interaction between the two world's regions, they really exist, and they existed since, you know, forever. Long time ago. So if we want to understand the world, There's no way that we can understand. Oh, Indonesia is Indonesia. There's no connection between Indonesia and Malaysia. No, that's not how we want to interact with our histories. We want to make history alive, and it's not just about history. You know, it's all sorts of discipline you can think of. But we want people here to understand that the world is actually smaller, much smaller than we thought. And the world, because it's so small, everybody is intertwined. Peoples did have interactions. You know, we talk about Sriwijaya connections were everywhere, from India, from the western coast of Burma and whatnot. Maybe in Madagascar or maybe in Tanzania as well, who knows? But you see, people do interact. We don't just live in Indonesia, but we're here in Indonesia where different cultures around the world meet. You know, you have Christians, you have Muslims, you have Hindus, you have people from all around the world here, because Indonesia has always been so strategically important, from merchants and traders, from the West, from the Arab world, from the Muslim world, from the Hindu world, and the Christian world.
Ms. Lalita, I do believe that there is any other questions, but unfortunately, I have to end this fruitful discussion because it's already 5:10. But maybe I would like to invite Prof. Rilus if you have any closing statement. No. Sure.
It's open.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. But before we end this discussion, I would like to invite Pak Arya to give a certificate.
I think from certificate, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. You got this, Pak Rilus. Yes. Pak Rilus and Ms. Lalita would you ask to accept that?
Okay.
Is it?
You, Dr. Lalita Hanwong.
Yes, thank you very much.
For you, Professor.
Oh, thank you.
Buat Bu Heru.
Hah?
Nanti
Buat itu juga salah tanda tangannya. Nanti diperbaiki.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Lalita, and also Prof. Rilus, and of course for the audience who participate.
You can take a photo together.
Along the discussion.
Southeast Asian way.
Yeah.
Oh, Bu Heru,
Yes.
Bu Dekan minta. Here, the student is there, yeah?
Yes.
Please stand here, and then the background will be the students.
We're like a K-pop star.
Oh, there is still a gift for you. Just a moment, please.
There is additional gift.
For Lalita. It's a gift from our department.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Masih dapat juga.
Masih.
Oke, kasih lagi.
And this is Heru.
Ah, yeah.
Thank you.